Hello. Well, property continues to fascinate people despite the current downturn. And in fact, the market being less bullish means there are bargains out there.
Now, buying at the right price is vital if you want to see any profit at the end of the day.
And going to the auction is a great way to do that.
The three properties on today's show are very different.
But the one thing they have in common is that the new owners hope they'll be making some money. Let's see what they bought.
There's love in the air in Cornwall, but you'd better be careful.
This is definitely a property where you must not let your heart rule your head.
There's one of the smallest properties I've ever seen in Hertfordshire. So, let's take a little look around. Oh, there you go. I've done it.
And I visit a terraced house in Plymouth, which is frankly a little confusing.
This is really, really odd.
All these properties have been sold at auction, and we find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
Sir, well done.
On the outskirts of St Austell, Cornwall, is the pretty village of Bugle. That's where today's property search has brought me, to an apparently quintessentially Cornish property on a fairly busy road.
Sounded pretty extraordinary in the catalogue, I have to say. Two-bedroomed, character cottage, guide price £90,000. And how about that?
From the outside, it certainly is woo-hoo. Picturesque would be one way to describe it.
Now, you never know with cottages like this whether they're going to be cutesy-wootsy or small and dingy. In this case, well, I have to say it doesn't look quite as big inside as it does from the outside. We've got a sort of living room over there with the real fire in it, and then over into this room, which is the main other room downstairs. Nice to see this. I mean, OK, so it's starting to teeter towards cutesy-wootsy. An old range here. Look at this. Whistling kettle. Absolutely fantastic. Not very practical, but hey, who cares? I guess that, just check. Yeah, that is a solid fuel range, so my guess is no central heating. Low-ish ceiling, but strip those beams back, that would be quite nice, and it's through to the kitchen. And surprisingly, compared to the rest of the house, this isn't a bad size. That's because it's built into a bit of an extension. Not an ideal shape, though. And then it gets a little bit worse because the only loo in the house is actually through the kitchen there. So all in all, it needs reworking, but you haven't really got a lot of options in terms of how to rework it.
But that doesn't have to be negative, because there's enough character in here to forgive a multitude of shortcomings.
So fairly traditional layout up here. You've got a bedroom over that side. It's kind of small, it's kind of cute, but it's kind of a cottage. Another one over this side. Nice floorboards. I'd like to see those stripped back. And, you know, these charming little features, you know, the deep recessed windows. It's a little old cottage, for goodness sake. Practically, though, we've got that loo downstairs. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd want to move that upstairs. I mean, there is a bit of space here. You could possibly contemplate doing something. I'm not so sure, and is it worth it? It depends how much time you're going to spend here, I guess.
Is it really worth spending lots of cash just to spend a penny upstairs? The new owner would certainly have to decide if they want to pay thousands of pounds just to spend that penny. There are two sizable bedrooms at the moment, and I'd be tempted to leave things as they are.
One of the big issues with this property becomes apparent when you come out to the front again, because this area to the side of the property here is the only access you've got for a car for the cottage. And it gets worse because actually at the back of the property is another separate property, and this is shared access to that property as well. So, one thing for certain, Before you buy this, you must absolutely make sure that you read the legal pack and that your solicitor checks out exactly who owns and has rights to what.
That shared access with the salmon pink property at the back of this house could be a problem. What can a local estate agent tell me about this lovely little cottage?
It's a very pretty, typical Cornish cottage. It just needs general tidying up, really. Obviously redecorating, some new floor coverings, perhaps changing the kitchen, bathroom, and maybe the layout slightly.
If the cottage was renovated and brought up to modern standards, what could it fetch if sold?
I would anticipate this going onto the market for £145,000.
What could it rent for once renovated?
For rental, we could achieve around £600 per calendar month.
Well, it's certainly cute, but this is definitely a property where you must not let your heart rule your head. There are some serious issues, not least the access, noise from the road, and practically, by the time you get furniture in there, it is going to be pretty small. Still, I'm sure that somebody will have fallen in love with it and bought it at the auction. Let's find out who it was.
2 bedrooms, good dimensions, 2 reception rooms. It's a nice cottage. Who's going to say to us, well, how about 100? Nice and simple. 90 then. Guide price at 90. Thank you, 90. Knew I was serious at 90. At 90, it's not yours anymore. 1, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96 then. OK, 96, 97, 98 and a half, 99 and a half. 99 and a half, at 99 and a half, at 99 and a half for lot 3 then, at 99 and a half once, at 99 and a half twice, new face says 100, at 100 for the first time, for the second time, for the third and last time, make no mistake, at 1, all done, last chance, and selling at 1. Sir, well done.
With their bid of £100,000, the new owners of the cottage are Gwen and Arthur. They look pretty pleased and pretty surprised to have got it.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yes,
They're a retired couple from Cheshire, and I met them back at their very picturesque new cottage to find out their plans.
Arthur, Gwen, lovely to meet you both. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you.
So why did you choose this particular little place?
Well, there's a story, isn't it?
Tell us.
What?
I didn't come to the auction to buy this property.
Right.
No. We did everything by the book. We did all the legal packs for about 3 properties, didn't we?
Did the viewings.
And they went first, didn't they? We got outbid. And then this came up.
We only put the one bid in, actually. We we play a little bit of a game, if you like, that when we look at the photographs and the details in the auction, we put our own value on it.
Right.
And say, right, that's the target. We'll not go above that. And for this one, we got it for exactly what we had decided that would be our limit.
When it went to our price, he just shot his hand up. We had 2 sleepless nights, didn't we, when we bought it?
Right, why?
Worried to death, weren't we? Because it wasn't
Yeah.
what we thought, we hadn't seen it or anything.
Very
Then-
uncertain whether we'd done the right thing. Because obviously we hadn't followed the usual pattern of making sure that you view it, your advice, and others. Look at the legal pack, which we hadn't done either for this particular property. So.
But spent hours and hours looking at all the other legal packs.
A warning to all potential buyers. Don't do what Gwen and Arthur did, which is buy a house without seeing it first. They didn't even know where it was.
We drove to where we thought the cottage was, and then
It was
obviously
just
it wasn't
there.
So then the panic set in because we thought, God,
We
where is it?
really were panicked, weren't we? And it was all around
Yes,
the
we've seen
village
those.
round here and all over the place, and we couldn't find it.
I've just got this image of you two in your car,
I know.
driving around trying to find the house you've just bought.
It was
Nearly
very much
in
like
tears.
that. And we used a sat-nav, but of course
It didn't
for some reason
register
didn't
it.
find it, and it was taking us to these horrible places, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we got more and more worried. But then
Round
when
the
we came
clay
across
pits
the
and-
cottage, it was,
Yeah.
it was quite a relief, actually.
Yeah.
Well, the couple have bought the cottage as a second home so that Gwen can be closer to her grandchildren. What do they think of their purchase now they know it's only got shared access?
Having been in here now then, having read through the legal pack, what do you think?
Love it. Can't wait to get started, can we?
Yeah, we think it's in a lovely spot. When you stand in the garden, apart from the traffic, but the house is well back from the road anyway, and with a bit of double glazing, I don't think that would be a problem.
We've thought of different things where we could do the drive, and then we thought, no, it could be better done another way. So we are going to just stay here for a little while and see which is the best way to do it.
The first decision might well be the wrong one, so we'll just give it a little bit of time and...
But it's definitely got to be done.
Yes, we need to do something.
Very sensible to wait, though.
Yeah.
I often say to people, move into the house, don't make any rash decisions, live with it for a while. The house will tell you what you need to do.
Good to know they're being a little bit less impulsive now. Once the work's complete, Gwen and Arthur will split their time between the cottage and their main home in Cheshire. They'd better get a move on with the restoration, as the grandchildren will be dying to visit, especially when they realise there are horses next door.
We're going to try and keep it as traditional as we can, really. One thing we'll look towards is moving the bathroom, which is downstairs, upstairs.
In between the two bedrooms, there's like an alcove. We thought if we knocked that through, we could get a Jack and Jill bathroom there, hopefully.
It might be a tight squeeze, but fitting a Jack and Jill shared ensuite upstairs between the two bedrooms sounds like a good plan, though it could be costly.
Give me an idea of how much you're going to spend sorting it out.
Not a lot.
We've set ourselves, really, we're going to try for 10,000 with another 5 as a contingency. A lot depends on what we find and how much professional help we'll need to get.
Before retiring, Arthur worked in construction and has even built his own house in the past. He'll be doing most of the work himself with some help from his 2 grown-up sons. They reckon it'll take about 6 months to complete the job.
And we've got a nice feel about this, haven't we? And can't wait to get stuck in and do it.
So all in all, you don't have any regrets?
No.
No.
No. No.
No, from the initial shock, it's turned out quite well, actually.
It has, yeah.
Great. Well, listen, I'm delighted for you anyway. Glad you found it. Glad you like it.
Thank you.
Good luck with it all.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing how you get on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
Well, Gwen and Arthur, not exactly following the preferred route when it comes to buying property. It's normally a prerequisite that you at least know where it is. Never mind having not visited it. It could have gone completely disastrously wrong. They hadn't even read the legal pack. And with something like a shared access, that is so important. As it is, hopefully they have got away with it, but they've still got a lot to discover. They don't know about the damp, all sorts of things. You can find out how they get on later in the show.
We're in Cheshunt in Hertfordshire. Talk about well connected. This place is a commuter's paradise. Just 14 miles from London, it seems everyone's in their car and on the move here.
Today's lot isn't a house. I'm here on this busy main road to check out an office that's recently been to auction. Now, it's a detached single-storey office building and it had a guide price of £70,000. So it's time for me to get to work and check this place out.
This dinky little building looks in pretty good condition from the outside, and the off-street parking creates some distance from the busy A road.
So, let's take a little look around. Oh, there you go. I've done it. There's a separate room out the back, a toilet and a kitchen. And of course, you've got this rather large room here. Now, the property measures 300 square foot in total. So, as an office space, it's perfectly well presented. You can see it doesn't really need much doing to it. It's all clean and tidy, and it has got that fairly new feel to it. But is there more to this place than this?
So far, so businesslike. I can just imagine some budding Alan Sugar entrepreneur planning world domination within these walls.
But what if you didn't want to run a business. Now, for those of you who like to speculate to accumulate, this might be a likely spot to apply for change of use for the building to become residential. Now, at the moment, it's a bit on the small side for a house, but what if you were to apply for planning permission to extend this and therefore make the most of this plot? If you don't mind the busy A10 on your doorstep, that is. I'm going to take a look at the garden and see if it's at all possible. Yes, out here at the rear, there is 65 foot of garden, which would be enough to extend or rebuild a bungalow using the current footprint as a start and still have some left over for the garden. Now, it currently has A2 business use, which means it was a professional office before and so would need change of use to residential status. However, I think looking at the rest of the area, there are enough semis and terraces to argue that it is mainly residential around here. Now, if permission was granted to have a bigger dwelling on this site, it would make this so much more attractive in terms of investment. But me, I'd have to wear those earplugs.
There's no denying the sound of that traffic. I'd say this property is one for an investor rather than a first-time buyer. But there may be life in this old office yet if the application to change its use from business to residential succeeds. To get to the bottom of this property conundrum, I've asked a local estate agent to tell me more about the office's potential.
It's been an architect's drawing office for the last 30-odd years. It's not viable as a commercial opportunity and therefore it needs to go to residential, and that will depend on the local planning authority as to whether you can go down that route. The current value is probably only in the region of 40, perhaps £50,000. With permission to convert it to residential, I would say that almost as a plot it's worth £120,000, something in that sort of region.
So there's definitely money to be made here if you know what you're doing.
I think if you did a simple single-storey rear extension on this, the potential value would be in the region of £215,000.
And for an investor looking to become a landlord?
If this was extended, I would suggest a rental value would be in the region of £1,000 per calendar month.
So, it's a bit of a 50-50 with this one. On one hand, I think the current building is tiny and it only comes with business use, so it's got limited potential as it stands. But on the other hand, it's a decent-sized plot, and if you could get planning permission and change of use to build a bungalow on this site, then you could have a family home. But maybe, just maybe, that traffic noise would begin to grate. But that's all speculation. We need to find out what somebody's got in store for this place. Let's see who bought it and what they want to do with it when it went to auction.
Nice office building, you've got car parking in the front, highly visible location, so obviously you've got potential to do things with this. 50,000 anywhere? 50, yeah, 50,000, 55, 60, 60, 65, back to you, 70, 80, 85, 90, 86, yeah? 87, 88, 89, 89, well done. It's a good lot, I've seen it. 89, 90, 90, 91, 92, 93. No, have a think. If not, £92,000. First time, 93. Do you spot? 94, sir. Sorry, 94 between you. 94, 95. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. 98 with you, first time, second time, third and last time. Have you all done? Sold 98,000.
Aram is the office's new owner. Originally from Armenia, he's been in the UK for 15 years. Until recently, he was the manager of a textile store, but now wants to make his career as a property developer.
Aram, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've gone and bought yourself an office at the auctions.
Thank you very much, yes, I did.
How much research did you do into buying this?
To be honest, not a lot. I checked on the internet night before, and this came up, and I had only maybe 12 hours before the auction. So what I did, I came down at 13 in the morning just before to go to auction, had a look around, and I liked what I see, and I thought, yeah, and I went for it.
So come on then, talk to me. What did you like about it, and what potential can you see?
Well, it's detached in a very good condition, and I think there is a potential to extend it at the back of the property. So to convert into maybe 2-bedroom house or bungalow, you want to call it.
But forgive me, are you missing something? You did notice the big noisy A10 out the front, surely?
Yeah, I did, but I mean, if you look around, there is so many other properties right on the A10, so I don't think it's going to be a major problem around here.
Aram's got a good point. Plenty of people do live along this road. On the plus side, it's an excellent base for commuting, but it all rests on getting planning permission and changing the use to residential.
Just before I went to auction, I spoke to council on the phone, and they said, yeah, they will be happy. As soon as I bought the place, I spoke to them in person, and they confirmed it should be no problem for the application to go through. So fingers crossed it will go through.
So what would your plan B be?
Well, the plan B is maybe rent it as an office, but I don't really want to think about plan B because it should be plan A all the way. I don't see no problems, to be honest.
OK, it's plan A all the way.
Aram's so confident he'll get planning permission that he's already drawn up plans for his bungalow.
Now, it's quite interesting looking down and seeing the plans because the bedroom is going to be here.
Yes.
Overlooking the road and all the noise. So, you know, do you think that is an ideal place for a bedroom?
Ideally not, but with some work, with some noise reduction installations, I think it should be no problem.
Sounds like Aram's not going to let anything get in his way. He's got a budget of $40,000 to do the job and is convinced it's going to be a breeze.
So what sort of building experience have you got?
Very limited, to be honest, but I've got a few good friends, and I think I'll see it through. I don't think it's going to be any problems.
So who's actually going to build it?
I haven't decided yet. I might just do it myself with my friends.
But you just told me you don't really have much building experience.
Oh, I don't, but I will learn. Nothing scares me. So, you know, I've got a young family, a little daughter, only 1 year old. So, I mean, I have to try my hardest to make it work. So,
Aram, do you see yourself moving into this building? I mean, are you attached to it already?
To be honest, yes. Yes. I mean, when first time I saw the missus, she wasn't happy about it. She looked around, and after 5 minutes, she changed her tone, and after 10, she was ready to move in. So
did you not think about asking the missus if she'd like to live here?
I did, but I made a decision as a man of the house, and that's how it's going to be, and that's how it's going to be.
So you have taken a gamble on this, haven't you? Because if the plans don't come through, you're going to have to go with plan B, which is renting it out.
It is a gamble, of course, but I'm fingers crossed it's going to be everything okay.
And it all happened in a matter of 12 hours. You saw it, you bought it, you've got to go for it now.
Well, sometimes you make your best decisions in impulse. Sometimes it happens, and most of the times I do get right, so let's hope it's this one of this.
Aram, good luck with this project. It's been great meeting you today. There's your plans.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Aram has 2 plans for this place. I really hope he doesn't have to resort to plan B, renting this place out as an office, when the alternative might be for him and his wife to have a home on this site. Will his new foray into property developing work out? You can find out how he gets on later in the programme.
Coming up, the front of this Plymouth terrace might look okay, but it's a different story at the back.
The whole rear of the property is starting to feel like it's all gone horribly wrong.
It's been non-stop graft in Cheshunt, but is there an end in sight?
It's been at least 16, 17 hours a day for the past 8 weeks.
And the property experts are blown away by the renovations in Cornwall.
Rarely do I come into something that I've sold previously and get such a wow.
It's got to be
We're back to catch up with Arthur and Gwen in Cornwall now. They bought this picture-perfect cottage at auction for £100,000, but broke just about every rule doing it.
We had 2 sleepless nights, didn't we, when we bought it?
Right, why?
Worried to death, weren't we? Because it wasn't what we thought, we hadn't seen it or anything.
Because obviously we hadn't followed the usual pattern of making sure that you view it, your advice, and others. Look at the legal pack, which we hadn't done either.
In fact, when they bought it, they didn't even know where the cottage was. I'm sure you'll agree that was a bit of a risk, especially as it shares access with the adjoining cottage. Perhaps not quite as perfect as they'd first imagined. Inside, the place needed total renovation. They thought it would take 6 months to do the work, but it's actually 14 months since we last saw them. I think there's a story to tell here. Let's see what it looks like now. The cottage is now picture perfect inside too.
Oh, this room is completely different. It's been transformed, really. Originally, there was a ray burn in the fire opening there, and the alcove was completely built in. The ray burn has been removed, along with the hearth. And on this side, there was a wall running right the way through here, a doorway here into the front door. It's opened up enormously, the space in here, and we're really, really pleased with it.
The transformation continues in the kitchen and downstairs bathroom, where they've added their own personal stamp with some feature wallpaper.
We picked this, which I think is lovely wallpaper. We just liked it, both of us. And it probably wouldn't suit everybody, but we love it, so that's it, it's us.
It's all smiles now, but the cottage needed a lot more work than Arthur and Gwen could ever have dreamt. The house was riddled with damp in the wood and stonework. In short, it's been a nightmare.
We didn't anticipate the amount of work that we eventually had to do. Structurally, we've had to do quite a lot.
Every wall's been down, I think. You know, it's down to the...
All the internal walls,
yeah,
at some point, were out and have been rebuilt. At one point, we finished up with a shell, just 4 walls, a staircase running up the middle, and nothing else between here and the roof slate. But and then we started putting it back together.
And put it back together they certainly have. Ceilings, floorboards and walls have all been removed and replaced. Roof timbers have been treated, a damp course injected, internal stonework repaired, and it's had a complete rewire. The biggest transformation is in the master bedroom, where they've managed to squeeze in an ensuite shower room into a space just big enough for a cupboard. It all looks like an oasis of calm now, but getting to this stage has been quite an emotional journey for them.
Well, it's only the last couple of days, isn't it, really?
It's felt like the house, the home.
It's starting to look like a home again. Actually, we both needed lifting from time to time.
When I've been down,
Thankfully,
he's been the other way.
We've been down at different points, so...
Yeah. And I've had a few cries and, well,
And I tried to keep going out of the building when there's been certain things going on, but...
But generally, no, we've worked well, haven't we, together?
The reason they've been working so hard is so that Gwen can be close to her grandchildren, Madeline and George.
We don't have to drive so far, and she can come down to us easily, and we can go over to her easily.
I love the garden because I love running around at it, and I love it because I like walking about in our house.
Outside, the list goes on. They've repainted the exterior walls, installed new windows, doors, guttering and downpipes, replaced the chimney stack and worked on the garden. But the hard graft's not over yet. They haven't even started the first job on their original list.
One of the first jobs we thought we'd do was to arrange better parking, knock a section of the wall down, form a driveway and a parking area. But that's had to go because of the cost of that has been sunk inside the property.
Arthur and Gwen originally had a budget of between £10,000 and £15,000, but with all those unforeseen expenses, how much have they actually spent?
We've certainly blown it anyway. We haven't done the final analysis yet, but we've probably spent double what we originally said.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're there now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, almost.
Well, it's time for that moment of truth. Has Gwen and Arthur's hard work paid off? We asked 2 local property experts to give us the figures.
Rarely do I come into something that I've sold previously and get such a wow feeling from it. I think it's a different house. Upstairs, somehow, they've managed to get a shower room into a space that you'd hardly put a wardrobe in. It's brilliant engineering. It's a super cottage.
When I saw the bedroom first time around, I thought, OK, you might just get a double bed in it and that's about your lot. But to have put an ensuite in the corner as they have, it's a work of genius.
Wow, praise indeed. Let's hope those glowing reviews will be reflected in the valuations.
I'd put this house on the market at £159,950 and hope to get somewhat over 150.
I would recommend we put this property on the market at £150,000.
So, with a purchase price of $100,000, even though they've doubled their original budget, Arthur and Gwen could be sitting on a potential pre-tax profit of around £20,000.
Never been about the money, about making a profit, has it?
No, never.
It's just what we want, what we like, and for us to live in. But it's nice anyway, just to know, isn't it?
Yes, it's nice
that
to know
you've not
that,
lost money, really.
It's got to be perfect.
If they chose to, Arthur and Gwen could even rent their cottage out for around £600 per calendar month. But for them, the effort was all about creating a second home where they could relax and enjoy time with their grandchildren. Now that it's almost complete, how do they feel about this cottage that they rushed into buying before they'd even seen it?
Now it's actually come to this, we have enjoyed it, and you think we'll never do it again, don't you, when you get a bad day? But now...
I think never again.
For the next property that went under the hammer, I'm in Plymouth, hoping to see a hot property sailing into view.
Well, just a few miles outside the city centre is the residential area known as Peveril. Very popular with families, it's got great amenities, good schools and shops, and its own park. This bit's actually known as Pounds Park, and on a beautiful day like today, it's a great place to be. Big question is, will the property that was up for auction make our purchaser pounds and pounds?
These 22 acres are part of Plymouth's Central Park. Perhaps not quite as impressive as New York's version, but it's known as the Green Lung of Plymouth and is utterly delightful.
Now, the catalogue states that the property I'm here to see is in popular Peveril, but that does seem to be a bit of a bone of contention with all the people I've spoken to, because we are just on the fringes of Pennycross, to the north, that is, but this is it anyway. 2-bedroom mid-terrace at a guide price of 80,000 quid, supposedly in need of refreshment, whatever that might mean. Let's have a look.
From the outside, the house doesn't look in too terrible a state. The rendering looks OK, and there's double glazing. Round the back, there's off-street parking, which will save you having to battle with your neighbours for a spot in Peveril. Or is it Pennycross?
OK, so wherever it's located, what have we got? Well, a nice little entrance vestibule there, corridor here, then you've got a lounge there, that's your sort of main front sitting room area. Good-sized space for a little terrace, I have to say. Stairs up to the bedrooms. And then it gets a bit strange because look at this little corridor. The whole rear of the property is starting to feel like it's all gone horribly wrong. Through into a kitchen. Again, it's not a bad sized space, but clearly everything in here wants replacing, including that boiler for sure. Windows with a double glaze with a little bit of a view out into the rear courtyard area. But I'm thinking things need to be done here.
Yes, this calls for refreshment, all right. But there are some fantastic original features which I hope get retained. I don't think this property has been inhabited for years.
When will I be loved?
I'm convinced the layout at the rear of the house could be made much more efficient, and the problems continue the further you go.
This is really, really odd. It gets worse and worse. As you come right to the rear of the property here, you find the loo and bathroom, the only ones in the property. This doesn't work at all, really, does it? So what can you do? Well, until relatively recently, you needed to have a lobby in between a kitchen and a bathroom. Well, that no longer is the case when it comes to building regulations. So why not take down this big useless wall here to create one large bathroom area here. You have a door there which goes through to the kitchen, change the back door onto basically the other wall there, so you have it on the wall of the rear of the property, come out that into the back garden from the kitchen, makes a much better use of this space, and yeah, that's what you've got to do.
Well, considering that you won't actually be changing the location of the bathroom, it's quite a lot of jiggery-pokery. But it would get rid of all those useless corridors and allow the kitchen to be opened up. The catalogue says there are 2 bedrooms, but I wonder what potential there is to change the layout.
Oh, that's nice. I really like windows on stairways. It gives a real feeling of light, not to mention the fact it makes it a lot safer. But you've got this little sort of landing area here. Your first bedroom there, I mean, it's all pretty tired and dated, but that isn't too much of an issue. Through to your second bedroom, and this is a really nice size. And what's really interesting is it's got 2 separate windows. Why is that important? Well, I think it opens up some options for this place. For a start, I don't particularly like the toilet downstairs, and some people are a bit fussy about that kind of stuff, so ideally you want to bring that upstairs. So first option, why not put some kind of an ensuite in here? It'd have its own window, ventilation, perfect. If I was living here, that's what I'd do. But if I was renting this place out, then rooms are paramount, so add an extra bedroom. That would get you an extra £100 a month. Wouldn't cost you much to do. Stood partition in here, change the door around a bit. That is the option if you're going to rent the place out. There you go. Problem solved.
But there are others. The back bedroom has got some serious plaster damage. It looks as though damp could be getting in. There are some nasty cracks on the stairs as well. Both need checking out. I asked a local expert to come and take a look at the property that went to auction guided at £80,000.
My first impressions of this one is it's a little bit tired, a little bit rough around the edges, needs some TLC. I definitely would recommend turning this one to a 3-bedroom, split the bedroom at the front, and I believe I'd be able to achieve at least £5,000 to £8,000 more if it were a 3-bedroom property.
Bearing in mind the house had an auction guide price of £80,000, how much could it be worth after a full refurbishment?
If it were left as a 2-bedroom property, I believe I'd be able to achieve £130,000.
What effect could an extra bedroom have on rental income?
If this were a 2-bedroom property, I believe I could rent this one out for £575 per calendar month. If I were to rent this one out as a 3-bedroom property, I believe I could achieve £650 per calendar month.
So adding a 3rd bedroom would increase the rental income or the sale value. But of course, any investor would have to factor in the extra impact on their budget.
Well, it's a house that's in need of some attention. Let's see who went for it at the auction.
2-storey, 2-bedroomed, mid-terrace house for refreshment stroke updating. Guide price straight in, 80,000. 8,000, don't want to start less than 80. Who gets going? Lots of interest in 71. 80, thank you. 80 I've got, at 80, at 80, at 80, at 80, at 80, at 80. So, 81, 81, 82, 83, 84. You're in. 84, 3 of you now. 85 where it began. 85, 86, 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90, 91, 91. And a half one of you. Because 91 is sat, 91 and a half, 91 and a half, 92, 92, at 92, half, 92 and a half, 93, at 93 and a half, 93 and a half, 94, at 94, at 94, half, 94 half, 95, half again, 95 and a half, 96, 96 and a half, 96 and a half, at 96 and a half, at 96 and a half once then, at 96 and a half twice, at 96 and a half, on my left it is, at 96, 500. Sir, yours, 96 and a half.
That final successful bid of 96,500 was made by Paul. I met up with him and his partner Sarah, who's a nurse, to hear about their plans to get the place back to good health. This is the first house Paul's bought at auction and is the start of a totally new career for him in property development.
Sarah, Paul, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. Tell me why you wanted to buy the house.
Well, it's a first project for me since I've been out of working IT, and it seems to be like quite a low-risk property, quite simple, good area for schools. So it's not going to be too ambitious, but something I think I can turn around quite quickly, make a small profit from, and get some experience to do the next one.
Oh, great. So previously you were in IT.
Yes.
What made the sort of the jump into property development?
Well, I've always dabbled in property. I've always been fascinated by property, and I lost my job, and it kind of gave me the push that I needed to get involved full-time. So here I am.
And what about you, Sarah? What do you do, and what's your involvement going to be?
I'm a nurse.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'm here to support Paul. It's his first project, and I've always been interested in properties myself, and I love interior design, so it's my chance to have my say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to help you, really.
Paul was a student in the town and now lives just outside Plymouth, so he knows the area pretty well. He's planning to convert the house into a 3-bed by dividing that front bedroom. What does Sarah think will be the main challenges here?
I still think one of the big challenges will be the kitchen, because we've got ideas of knocking walls down and things, but it's just maximising that space. So, but I think it should be nice when it's finished.
And what about the bathroom area? Are you going to get rid of that little corridor and knock down the sort of wall between those two?
Exactly so, yeah. Take out the back door, block that up, take out the partition wall, make it a nice big bathroom, and where the sink in the kitchen is currently, just put a single door going out into the courtyard at the back.
Any thoughts about moving the bathroom upstairs? I mean, you could put an ensuite in here. You'd lose the extra bedroom, but...
Yeah, I hadn't really, I suppose, I know anything's doable at a price, but I suppose I'm trying to keep the budget quite tight. And I've got it all costed up to sort of around about 15,000 so far.
Right.
To do something really funky and really swish, it should you know, compensate for the fact that it's downstairs.
Funky and swish?
Yeah.
Wow.
But cheap.
Cheap, funky and swish?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does cheap, funky and swish look like?
Well, it can look very nice. You get these really trendy designer basins for about £30 with monoblock taps for the same sort of price.
You mean the ones that sit there, like on the top of the surface?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
They look, you know, hundreds of pounds, but they can cost very little.
They squirt water all over your trousers when you do that.
Oh, well, possibly so. Possibly so.
Cheap, funky, swish, but a little damp. Mind you, they are going for a seaside theme with the colours and styling, so it may work.
Seaside, whenever you stroll along with me.
So who's going to do the work?
I've got a builder lined up to start tomorrow.
Oh.
So he's going to do all the sort of skillful stuff. I'm going to do some of the non-skillful stuff, like breaking things up, taking them away, stripping wallpaper, tidying up, ripping up the carpets. Yeah, and Sarah as well.
Got the steamer, stripper.
Ready to go.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, there we go.
And I'm hoping to kind of get my work done within a couple of weeks and leave him to it, basically.
And what's the rough time scale at the moment?
He says 8 to 10 weeks.
Right.
And this guy, it's the first time I've used him, gives me a good impression, but you never really know until you've used them. He does plastering, he builds houses, he does absolutely everything, and he seems to have good references, so fingers crossed, and a bit of luck, he'll do a good job for me.
Great. So what next?
Because it's a student town, big houses where you can rent out the rooms are very popular down here, and they're quite lucrative. I've got one of those already, and I'm hoping to buy a subsequent one. So I'd like to sort of roll the profits forward into buying a house that I can let out room by room, but also do this kind of thing and do a self-build, you know, maybe get a plot of land and do some builds on that, a small development project.
Well, good luck with this one.
Thank
in the
you very
meantime,
much.
I hope it's a success for you.
Seaside rendezvous. Give us a kiss.
Well, Sarah and Paul have certainly got some good ideas for this place, but there's a lot of work to sort it out, and I hope that Paul's hunch about the builder proves to be correct. Join us later in the show to find out what funky, swish and cheap looks like. See you later. Doing up a property can be time-consuming and expensive.
So have our new buyers stuck to their plans and their budgets?
Let's find out.
We're back on the road now to catch up with Aram in Cheshunt, Hertfordshire. He bought this tiny office building on a busy main road for £98,000. His plan was to change it into a home for himself and his young family. But surprisingly, buying it was a last-minute decision.
Well, sometimes you make your best decisions in impulse. Sometimes it happens, and most of the times I do get right, so let's hope it's this one of those.
The property has a long garden at the back, but Aram's master plan would be a non-starter if he didn't get planning permission to extend and change the office from business use to residential. Aram's had 9 months to put his plans into action. Let's see how he's getting on. Well, it seems he must have got his planning permission. And although the place isn't finished, it's not very office-like anymore.
What we had before, this is the end wall for the original building. We had to do is extend the house 7 meters towards the garden, and I'm really pleased with the result.
Most people would have walked away from this little office, but Aram saw the potential and came up with a plan to turn it into a 2-bedroom bungalow.
For the plan permission, it took us about a good couple of months to come through. Originally, we asked for 9 meters extension, but for some reason, we've been granted only 7, so which is still okay. A little bit small-ish, but it's still okay. Up front, we have our main bedroom for us, a bit smaller one for Lily, my little daughter, for her, and we go bathroom and toilet over there, and around here we're gonna have our open plan lounge and kitchen.